Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. The year is 2026, and the primary skill we need right now isn't just generating content, it's authenticating it. Today, we're demystifying the mechanics behind the generative AI revolution, but more importantly, we're tackling the massive truth gap it's created in our daily digital lives. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start under the AI hood, trace the generative evolution, and look at how it's transforming work and society. Then, we'll dive into the core of today's explainer, the dark side of AI, the job market shift, and exactly how we're moving forward responsibly. Look, generative AI is arguably one of the most powerful technologies humans have ever had access to. But to truly wield it, and honestly, to protect ourselves from its risks, we first need to understand exactly how we arrived at this pivotal moment in history.
So part 1, under the AI hood. Let's move past the magic and strip away that science fiction mystique.
The absolute crucial point here is the difference between predicting patterns and simulating creativity. Think of traditional AI like a master chess computer, right? It knows the rules, it recognizes board patterns, and it predicts the single best move to win. But generative AI, it doesn't just play the game, it could invent entirely new ways to play chess. It's making this massive shift from simulating human decision-making to actually simulating human creativity.
And a neural network's learning process really comes down to 4 basic steps. It starts with forward propagation. That's where the network takes an input, passes it through different layers of artificial neurons, and spits out a prediction. Then it measures exactly how wrong that prediction is, which we call the cost function. Finally, the real magic happens in backpropagation. The network works backward, tweaking the weights and biases of every single neuron to minimize that error for the next time. It is essentially learning through incredibly rapid trial and error at a truly massive scale.
Moving on to part 2, the generative evolution. Let's trace the path to modern transformers.
Because AI is definitely not an overnight success. Back in the 1980s, we had expert systems, but they had to be manually coded with every single rule and answer. Literally, if a symptom wasn't hard-coded in, the system was completely blind. It actually took the explosion of the web in the 90s and all that big data to allow neural networks to start training themselves. Fast forward to the 2020s, and the rise of transformer models gave the tech a way to understand human language context, and, well, that kicked off the absolute arms race we are in right now.
Which brings us to part 3, transforming work and society. Let's look at the sheer scale of AI capabilities today.
Generative AI is so much more than just clever chatbots. It is a multimodal engine. We're talking about rendering entire video game environments, accelerating drug discovery, and writing highly complex software code. Tools are debugging software while platforms are generating hyper-realistic video. It can even create synthetic data. This is completely fake data that perfectly mimics real-world patterns, allowing companies to train systems or run research without ever touching actual private information. It's a total game changer.
And the real-world business value? Staggering. A Harvard study found that Boston Consulting Group workers using generative AI tools gained a massive 40% performance boost. Just imagine, practically overnight, finding a way to make your entire workforce almost half again as productive. It is fully automating the mundane stuff so humans can double down on complex, creative problem-solving.
But we have to talk about part 4, the dark side of AI, confronting the risks, because we are deep into an era defined by a massive truth gap. And navigating this means mastering what we call the 3 pillars of AI trust: bias, deepfakes, and verification.
Let's start with the first pillar, algorithmic bias. AI doesn't have its own opinions. It's really just a hidden mirror reflecting our history. If you train a model on historically biased human data, like Amazon accidentally did with male-dominated tech resumes, the AI scales that exact historical bias. There's also sample bias, where a model flat-out fails on certain demographics simply because they weren't included in the training data. The outputs are only as fair as the inputs, which is why actively managing this is absolutely critical.
We're also facing the threat of AI inbreeding. With the internet completely flooded by automated content farms pumping out machine-generated slop, future models are scraping this exact content. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. Over time, the outputs get distorted, they become less interesting, and we slowly lose the vital nuances of true human culture.
And this leads us directly to the second pillar, deepfakes, or synthetic media. In places like India, this is now legally termed SGI, and the threat is so severe that the 2026 IT Rule Amendment actually mandates platforms take down harmful deepfakes within just 3 hours, down from 36. To spot them, you really need to use a detective checklist.
Look for microglitches or edge distortion right around hairlines or ears where the AI mask meets the real background. And for audio, listen closely for anomalies like robotic pacing or a totally unnatural lack of breathing.
So, with all that capability and risk, we hit part 5, the job market shift. Let's quantify the impact on our work. A comprehensive Indeed report found that nearly every single job is going to be impacted in some way. About 20% of roles are highly exposed, meaning AI can do over 80% of their required skills. And listen, this isn't just about assembly lines anymore. Generative AI is coming straight for administrative, creative, and communicative tasks, the exact things we used to think only humans could ever pull off.
But the takeaway here is adaptation, not panic. AI absolutely excels at scalable, repetitive tasks, sure, but humans completely retain the edge in empathy, complex decision-making, culture, and ethics. An AI can draft a flawless legal contract in 3 seconds, but it cannot sit across a table from a terrified client and offer them actual empathy and nuanced counsel. The folks who thrive will use AI for the heavy lifting while leaning super hard into their uniquely human edges.
Let's bring it all home with part 6, moving forward responsibly and navigating this revolution. Deploying this technology safely takes a huge shift in organizational mindset before you even touch a keyboard. It is definitely not just about giving everyone a software account and crossing your fingers. Which brings us to the third and final pillar, verification. How do we fight the fake? We have to rely on content credentials, or C2PA. Think of it as a digital nutrition label hidden in a file's metadata that proves if it's AI or human-made. Professional tools now embed invisible synth ID watermarks, and detection tools like GPT-0 or Originality AI are absolute must-haves. But the ultimate solution? The human-in-the-loop approach. We have to constantly audit these outputs to ensure fairness and accuracy. You literally have to upskill your team to act as editors and critical thinkers. So, as we wrap up, ask yourself, how would you like to use AI to add value to the world? Think about your unique human skills and how this incredible engine can help you deliver them faster and more creatively than ever before. As we fully embrace this era, remember, AI is a powerful mirror. Our job is to make sure it's reflecting the truth, not just